Everton have obviously built their new stadium that they're set to move into next season. Could they be frustrated that Man United are receiving support from the government with things, infrastructure around the new stadium, as opposed to Everton, where I believe they have received some money, but it looks like Man United are going to get a lot more help with the things around their stadium than Everton. Could that be a frustration for Everton?
Well, I think you have to slightly separate what it is. If you take everybody at face value, United are getting very little assistance directly. Okay, they're getting what they are reasonably doing is putting themselves front and centre of the regeneration of part of Manchester, which is good for United and good for Manchester. And Manchester's politicians, the mayor and their other MPs and councillors, are doing what they need to do to try and get central government support. And that seems to be very receptive at central government level. And I think part of what United did with their announcement last week was to try and keep momentum in that process, especially as we come up to the spring statement next week by the government. And who knows, maybe there'll be some comments made there in respect to the stadium. Now, you contrast that with what's happening at Everton. And Everton, the area around the new Everton Stadium, I understand, has had some central government money. But really it's for the Liverpool politicians to make their case. And I heard something earlier this week, which it was some sort of discussion on the Today programme on Radio 4, sort of expressing that it was just natural that Liverpool politicians wouldn't lobby central government in that way, because it's a kind of that's the vibe of Liverpool councillors and politicians. They wouldn't want to go cap in hand to government for support, which I think would be a completely ridiculous approach, and would ignore that is what the rest of the country is going to do in terms of lobbying for their own position. And I think ultimately, if Liverpool don't get what they deserve as part of that regeneration process around the docks, around the new stadium, that's their fault and their problem. I don't think anyone should criticise United for trying. I think it's for government not to subsidise a football club, but where there's regeneration money, then I think it's for those local councils to lobby as hard as they can to get hold of it and get support. And if United are better at lobbying their own local politicians and Andy Burnham, and of course is an irony in that Burnham is an Everton fan and is lobbying hard for the United redevelopment. I think that's Liverpool's loss, but I think, as I say, I think it's for those cities to get the capital, both privately and publicly, that they can.
Mm. And Everton have confirmed 2 further appointments to their executive team over the past week. Does that set them up well for the summer and the stadium move? There's going to be a lot of change at Everton over the next few months, of course.
Yeah, I think, look, it's all part of a very clear plan to upgrade all aspects of the club, starting from the management team down. I think some people probably that are going to lose their roles is probably quite unfair, because I do think, and it wasn't spoken about enough, but I do think that the Everton exec team that dealt with what they had to deal with over the last 2 years did an amazing job in many ways. It is not easy to balance a sale process, multiple collapsed deals, PSR issues, a new build stadium, problems on the pitch, manager changes. Some amazing set of problems, all in the public eye, all with, everybody getting involved, and, people like us having a conversation about, the direction of travel in the middle of that mess that they had with 777. The exec team wouldn't have been responsible for that. You know, if Shiri wanted to do that deal, it wasn't their fault. And so I think they did, in many ways, did an amazing job. And so it's going to be unfortunate for them to then find that they're out of Everton. But you know, things have to develop. So it's like any new investment or project, and it's happened in almost every single club you can think of, where new owners have come in and want their own people around. You know, it's happened at United. It happened at City when City were taken over by Sheikh Mansour. You know, it's happened at Liverpool as well. So it's a natural change. So I don't think anyone can really complain. But the good thing for Everton is that clearly the intention is for them to develop and build and take the opportunities that they think are there once they move into the new stadium, which is, you know, I think very positive for their club.